Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ludicrous Feed Live. Today is what was that? Today is the 16th of February, 2023, and today's topic is, of course, affordable EVs in Australia. We're talking around the $50,000 mark, but of course, we'll flush that figure out tonight and see what all of you think is an affordable price tag in Australia. So, welcome to tonight's show. Pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage and enjoy the night and enjoy some hopefully good company with myself and of course our good friends on Ludicrous Feed. Please make welcome Rahul Prasad and Riz Akhtar from Carloop. Hello, gents. How are we both?
Going well, Tom.
Great to hear, Riz and Rahul. Let's see how are you going. Okay, well, so Rahul, how are you going?
Yeah, it's warm in Melbourne tonight, Tom. Yeah, I just put in a quick comment there for everyone watching. Obviously, heatwave conditions around Australia, but we're expecting about 40 degrees tomorrow. So stay cool, people. Get to the water somewhere or a pool somewhere and stay indoors. Turn on your air cons for one day of the year. Stay safe.
That's right. Stay safe, everyone. It is going to be warm in Melbourne and warm in Sydney too, but
Plenty of
not
water.
plenty of water. Not that warm in Sydney, but still warm. All right. Well, welcome to everyone who's watching live tonight. Appreciate your company tonight. And if you're watching on replay as well, hello, welcome. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section. And if you're listening on podcast as well, welcome to. Hope you make it to the end there. And thanks very much for joining us too. Hello to a new member tonight. Old New has become a YouTube member. So thank you very much. Appreciate your support and everyone else on the chat tonight as well. Let's say hello to a few members tonight. We've got Gaffer. Hey, Gaffer. Nice to see you there. And of course, Riz, one of our members too. G'day, Riz, as always. And we've got Tassie EV now. Tassie EV's finally made it to a live stream. So hello as well. If you've just finally made it yourself, welcome for the first time too. Yes, indeed. We've got plenty to chat about, not just about affordable EVs, but of course, plenty of news as well tonight. We've got the poll happening as well tonight, as always. So the question is, in February 2023, which is where we're at the moment, at what price would you consider to be an affordable EV in Australia? In Australian dollars, we've got four options: under $35,000, between $35,000 to $40,000, between $40,000 to $45,000, and between $45,000 and $50,000. I might throw this question to our regulars as well. Let's start with Riz. Riz, which one would you pick between the four?
35 to 40 grand after incentives. I think that's sort of the sweet spot that everyone's looking at the moment. 2022, we had the BYD Atto 3, the first ground-up EV, starting under $50,000, which was a big thing. So if 2023, we've got to take it down a notch, and hopefully under 40 grand would be ideal.
Yep. Good choice there. Rahul, yourself, where would you pick?
What a great poll, I think. Obviously, you're going to have people across all of those price points that are going to be interested in a particular brand or a particular type of EV. But yeah, I think the trying to think what are the price points there. Under 35. The 35 to 40,000 is probably affordable. I think under 35, I would say in an EV, considering we don't have that many brands with that much stock out here in Australia at the moment, I would consider that to be cheap. And depends what your situation is. If you're looking for a family SUV, I think that 35 to 40,000 mark is a fantastic option. Anything under that or around that, under the 50,000 mark, would still be affordable in my books. I think that's why the BYD is doing so well in Australia.
Yep. Thanks, Rahul. Great choice. And I personally would also pick that 35 to 40,000 mark as well. I think that would be a good price point for a lot of people. And of course, we're talking new cars, not secondhand. So brand new cars with incentives taken into account. And I agree with Greg, one of our members too, who says that affordability is such a subjective term, especially in the auto industry. That's so true. Like, we have different definitions of affordability. And I guess that's the point of the poll tonight, just to see where we're at as a population, what the bell curve looks like. And looks like the 35 to 40,000 price range is winning at the moment. Got Alexander also agreeing 35 to 40. And yeah, H2 Rider says Aura Funky Cat. Let's kick off with that. Aura Funky Cat. So Riz wrote an article in the Driven actually recently about that. Riz, great article. And yeah, what were your thoughts about the Aura Funky Cat's price point?
I think it was priced similar to what it was like in the UK. So UK, the car came out late last year, and it was sort of priced around £32,000, which is more expensive than the MG ZS EV in the UK. Here, though, the Aura Funky Cat is less than the MG ZS EV now, especially the base model. The starting price is around 46,000 drive away. The MG ZS EV only last week, I think, had a price increase. So in most states, it's around $47,000 now. So these will come out I think the first batch comes out in April. So yeah, good, interesting to see what that looks like, and particularly the fact that people want electric hatchbacks, and there hasn't been much under sort of $50,000 mark. So this is sort of the first one in that space.
Yeah, I quite like the look of this car. It's very, I guess, Mini Cooper-esque. It looks very similar in size and shape. Yeah, I think this will do very well. As an urban vehicle. I guess my only concern with this vehicle was the charging rate. In the video I did summarizing this car's specs, we're looking at 60. I think it was 65 or 69 kilowatts, which is actually slower than the BYD Atto 3. I mean, Jen's thoughts on that? That seems a little bit slow to me. I know this, we've obviously got to look at the charge curve and how long it can keep that peak, but ultimately it's going to be slower than, say, a Tesla Model 3 pictured here that can do 170 at the rear-wheel drive even.
Well, nobody said that this was going to be a fast cat. It's just a funky cat. So it's 60 kilowatts. It's enough for it to be a funky cat. It's not as fast as the BYD or the MG4 with some of the international charging tests that I've seen, which I think sort of hovers around 80 to 90 kilowatts, similar to the BYD in the real world. That is on paper, the MG4 is, I think over 100, but in real world it hits around 80 to 90, which is similar to the BYDs. So yeah, the funky cat loses out on that.
Yeah, Rahul, thoughts on that? I mean, it's obviously not a family car. You and I are family men. Like, you probably wouldn't take this on a road trip, would you, with a car this size?
No, exactly. I agree. Yeah, definitely. I guess the slower charging rate would be a turn off for some people. But would you agree, or would you think that this car, this EV, is more appealing to urban, I guess, people wanting to get a EV that they can get around in sort of urban areas, city sort of routes? Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think so, Rahul. I think with a car this size, it's going to be very difficult to fit. You probably fit one child seat in there, two at a squish. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be an urban vehicle. Sure, some people are going to need DC charging because they don't have off-street parking, and at 60 odd kilowatts, sure, you can probably stick it there for like 45 minutes, go and do your shopping, come back. I guess the only concern is if there's not enough charging, it's going to take up space or it's going to take up time in place of someone else who could have used that charger. It's a bit of a trade-off, I guess, for price point versus charging speed. So I guess compromises have to be made somewhere. Michael Xiao makes a good point here. I'm afraid that a cheap EV may give the owners a bad experience in terms of range or charging speed to meet a low price point, but at least it starts the ball rolling. I guess this comes down to being informed of your buying choice. You kind of need to know these things if you're going to spend that much money on a car. Be aware that the charging speed is not going to be that quick. You need to know the range, the efficiency, I think at the very least. And hopefully this live stream and others that we do will help educate owners from that point of view. So thanks, Michael. That's a great comment, though. Appreciate that. Riz, please.
Yeah, in terms, just quickly, in terms of the hatchbacks that we do have, Cupra, Volkswagen owned based on the Volkswagen ID3 platform, the Cupra Born, that's priced at 60,000 plus on roads. So that sort of comes around, 82 kilowatt hour battery, claimed range of over 500 kilometers. But apparently the word on the street is they couldn't really sell the entire first batch. So there's a few. So the first batch was supposed to have 400 cars that were allocated for Australia. And yeah, they were, I think, shy of 400. I think they had about 25 or 30 cars still left that people could place an order on. So, price point does come in for a lot of people, and it's hard to justify paying 65 grand for a hatchback. And this is where I think the AuraCat sort of plays in that inner city sort of space. Looks, like we said, looks cool in many ways, and the color schemes that they've got, I can see a lot of young people in the city sort of wanting to get their first EV. It's sort of a foot in the into the EV market that they may not have found the MG ZS EV attractive enough to have their sort of trendy car. So yeah, it's cool that we have this sort of option starting to come into Australia that we haven't had in the past.
Yeah, and I agree, Riz. It's more choice is always better for the market. And I've only seen these in pictures. I know, Riz, you've seen this up close, but I personally would love to see the interior up close, go for a drive before I really get a feel of this vehicle. I guess that's a concern we have with. Look, a lot of these cars are gonna come from China. Let's face it, it's gonna be the Chinese cars. They're gonna be cheap, coming onto our market. I mean, what in the chat there? Tell me your concerns about, I guess, a largely untested market from China, at least in Australia anyway, where our conditions. I know we've had the BYD for 6 months, but leave a comment in the chat there if you think, what are your concerns buying a Chinese EV versus, I guess, traditionally a Japanese car or a European car? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on that too. I guess another vehicle in this sort of category is maybe the BYD Dolphin. We've talked about that in the past streams as well. We're hoping that will be under $40,000. Don't have any sort of inside knowledge as yet. Riz, I think the Dolphin will be a little bit bigger than the Aura at this stage.
I think, yeah, it will be. I can't remember the exact dimensions as such, but in terms of its size, think of it sort of the Toyota Corolla size for what the Dolphin would be. I know a few of our audience have actually seen it testing and charging at different locations. Tom, I know you've seen it as well. It should be that Hyundai i30, Toyota Corolla, that sort of hatchback space. But in terms of, I guess, the pricing from what we've seen it being exported into international markets, it's hovering around the 20 to 25,000 US dollar mark. So if we convert that, if that equates to, even with shipping and let's call it the dealer markups or experience centers, staff need to be paid and the rest of it as well, then if it comes under 37,000 before subsidies drive away, then mid 30,000s would be an ideal spot for a Dolphin in Australia.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that sub 40 is hopefully, or that's been speculated anyway, that's going to be the price point, but that would be very attractive indeed. Greg is saying, I don't think China is going to be an issue. Look at how many Haval cars are out there at the moment. That's true. People only care about the price. Yeah, especially in this economic climate, people are worried about the bottom dollar, resale value, all those kind of things. And yes, I mean, you can look at the long-term aspect of it, but a lot of people do change their cars within 3 to 5 years. That will also increase the secondhand market as well. Just want to take a short break and just quickly talk about our partner tonight, which is Powershop. This is the power company that I'm with at the moment, and I like them because of this fact that there is an EV plan out there for them. This is the electric vehicle plan, and you can see down here, this is the New South Wales tariffs for Ausgrid, and this is what I use, 7.49 cents per kilowatt hour, which is very good for EVs, of course. I don't think I could find a plan really much cheaper than that at this stage. So I know the daily tariff is quite high. I think it's $1.37. That's the only trade-off for this plan. But in terms of charging at night between midnight and 4 a.m. every Monday to Friday, it's certainly enough for me having 2 EVs at home. So I should also note that it is a commission-based referral. So you get $75, I get $75. Everyone wins. If you're looking for a new power company, I think I highly recommend looking at Powershop as an alternative to what you're using at the moment. So thank you very much. All right. So yes. So I'm reading a few concerns about listening devices in Chinese cars. I think Peter said that. Don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, any car can have a listening device, I suppose, whether you want your information going to China, the US, wherever it might be. I'm seeing these kind of comments about, security concerns about Chinese vehicles, and it's a controversial subject. I know, a bit political. I don't want to turn into that at this stage, but that's something we do have to be aware of if you have to buy a car from China. I mean, Teslas are made in China too, aren't they, gents? I mean, all the Teslas currently are made from Shanghai Gigafactory as well. Ro, was there any concern from your point of view buying a Chinese-made Tesla?
No, I think obviously had the 2019, I think, Model 3 made in China. Never had any issues, worked well. Look, and sure, had some panel gap issues, but when you're inside, when you're driving an electric car and it goes as fast as it does, you don't particularly care. It gets you from point A to point B at a very cheap price point, not having to buy fuel, I guess, diesel, petrol, whatever. They never had any issues. And then obviously the new Model Y that we got back in August, just runs fantastically. The build quality is so much better. I think China manufacturing of EVs is just getting better and better. And I think now that they're past that COVID lockdowns, I've heard everything's opening up. Manufacturing is back on track of EVs. I think they're going to dominate EV manufacturing. Would you agree, Riz and Tom?
Yeah, definitely in terms of the manufacturing side of things. From a security and sort of data point of view, it's funny, I was having a discussion today around EV charging and how many apps we have on our phones. I think every single one of them has our credit card details in it. And every single one of them has our normal details. Some even have their addresses in there. If Medicare and Optus and all of these guys can have data breaches and information getting to the wrong hands, at least with the Chinese cars, we'll know where it's going, where we have no idea where some of the others have gone. So yeah, if you do find my details anywhere, keep them. I've got nothing in my bank accounts anyway.
Come on, Riz. Look, you've got a new Cybertruck in the back. Don't be so humble.
Yeah, that's as much as I can afford.
I always forget, actually, there's an internal camera looking at me in our Tesla Model 3. Yeah. I should probably stop picking my nose in the car. But no, stuff it. Doesn't matter. They can upload my data. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, you can't help it, right? Walk down the street. There's a security camera every 5 meters on any main road in Sydney, at least. I'm sure in Melbourne's the same. And any shopping center, someone's looking at you. So, yeah, Big Brother has come true, unfortunately, to some degree. Yes, so comment here, in a world of high inflation, I welcome these Chinese entrants, assuming the airbags aren't actually balloons. Yeah, look, don't know. Look, it's not just the Chinese cars. Every manufacturer is going to have a defect somewhere. No car is perfect. We, as the consumer, have to be vigilant, right? No matter where they're from. And speaking of China, I will be actually on the panel. Are the Chinese cars going to be superseding European brands in the future at Fully Charged Live? So make sure you come along and check out that panel as well. Sorry, Riz, you're going to say something?
Yeah, speaking of airbags and balloons, I think Takata in Japan got away with a lot of things. So, recalls, things can happen as long as everyone's sort of safe. Little bit of data going here and there. What does it mean? Who knows? But all cars are connected now, pretty much all the new ones you buy anyway, whether it's a Mercedes or whatever, and what they do with their data. I mean, their goal is to sell your data anyway. They want it like Tesla's in-car services and those type of things. That's the goal for most of the other manufacturers and OEMs anyway. At least Tesla is transparent about what they will or will not do with your data. So yeah, I think it's everywhere. And Anything we buy is connected now.
Yep, no, I agree. Even your toaster probably. So watch out. Yeah, Gaffer says if people are worried about cameras, most chips are out of China, and that means chips in all your network adapters and routers. I think the horse is already bolted. I think it has too. I think you're right, Gaffer. It's really an inevitability. I think at the moment, it is what it is. Just as an aside, here we go. If anyone has the Model Y performance in the chat, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I want to know what you think about it. And another comment here too from Enzo. Last Friday, I test drove a Model Y and I was waiting for the long range Model Y, but now I'm thinking rear wheel drive is okay for me. What do you think? So, yeah, answer Enzo there in the comment section. Yeah, I tried to book a performance Model Y test drive just because it's coming for us, but I'm not sure if there's any available. Gents, do you know, or anyone in the chat? Can you actually test drive a performance Model Y at the moment through Tesla?
Generally speaking, you can't until they've had their first customer deliveries as such. They have started last Friday. A couple of people picked theirs up in Brisbane. I think we've got some stink bug issues at the port here in Melbourne, also known as the unions. But they haven't. There's lots of delays here in Melbourne, so I'm surprised the New South Wales customers haven't received much more. Maybe it's on the same ship as the Melbourne ones. I'm not sure. But yeah, Brisbane deliveries have started, and test drives will probably not happen until the first set of customers have received their performances.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's for sure. Isn't it funny how we live in a world where the first time you're going to be in a vehicle is when you take delivery? Can't even test drive the vehicle you ordered. Comment here from Marshall. I think people need to understand that while the savings on an EV is great, the initial outlay is high for some people due to the second-hand EV market barely existing. Yes, that's true. And even now, there's still a lot of second-hand Model 3s that are going for quite high, and Model Ys as well. So we're living in very unusual times here where second-hand cars are quite expensive, whether they be ICE or EVs. But good comment there from Marshall. Thank you. And also think about the cost of ownership too. I can't stress this enough. If you can afford to go a little bit higher or make that stretch, it might be worth an extra 10 or 20 grand on top of an ICE equivalent, because you'll certainly make that back in the 5 years you'll keep the vehicle, just in fuel savings alone, maintenance costs, particularly for a Tesla vehicle. So yeah, keep that in mind if you are on the fence there. Thanks, Rahul, there for your comment. I have the rear-wheel drive Model Y and had the Model 3 SR before. Never needed the performance versions with it being a family car with 2 young kids. Thanks, Rahul. Yep, I agree. Yep. Another comment from Marshall. Any ideas to whether Tesla are going to dramatically drop their prices as they have been in the US? And as a follow-on from Greg Wilson, would you still buy except one now? That's very, very good comment. Or wait until hardware 4 is coming out soon. Seems like you're getting obsolete hardware. Oh no, you've struck at the heart of everyone who's just taken delivery, Greg. How could you? Oh, I mean, hardware 4. Riz, what does that exactly mean to the average consumer in Australia?
Look, I think great question, Greg. I think to most people, pretty much nearly everyone in Australia that has got a Tesla or is thinking about buying a Tesla, it's all to do with full self-driving. Well, part of it's to do with full self-driving. Once it's enabled, hardware 4 will be superior in terms of what the vehicles can see and then make decisions based on what they're seeing. In the last earnings call, Elon mentioned that hardware 3 vehicles, which are most of the current vehicles out there, they will not be able to be upgraded to hardware 4, which is additional cameras and sensors and a new computer and a whole lot of things. There's some details that have been leaked out today, but to most people driving their car from A to B without using enhanced autopilot or full self-driving, which we don't have anyway, it's not going to make such a big difference in terms of the overall experience of the car that we have here in Australia.
Yes, I don't know when that's going to happen, when we get full self-driving beta. I mean, Elon's 2 weeks is certainly getting very, very long in the tooth, isn't it? He did say December last year, I think it'd be worldwide release, but here we are in February. We're still waiting. TikTok. And look, DW makes a great point. There's always something new and better. You know, my Intel 486 from 1989 is still waiting for a hardware upgrade from Microsoft and Gateway Computers, I think it was back in the day. So, yeah, it happens, right? Technology is technology, unfortunately. Paul Party, thank you for joining us. Paul's one of our members. Hello. Okay, Tassie EV, good question. Back on topic, back on affordable EVs. Any word on when the BYD Dolphin will launch? Predictions on price? Yes, we kind of touched on this, but we didn't touch on when it might launch. Speculation. Rahul, you want to take a guess maybe? Stab in the dark?
I think it's the second half of this year, I believe, from what I read on Twitter. And correct me if I'm wrong, Riz or Tom. So I would say June, July 2023. Yes.
I'd agree with that, Rahul. I think that they may open their orders in May, June. First deliveries will definitely be sort of the second half of the year. There's such high demand for that car. I'm not entirely sure how they pick the left-hand drive versus right-hand drive markets, because locally China has such high demand for their left-hand drive Dolphins. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see, but I agree. Probably the second half will be when the deliveries will begin on the Dolphin.
Yeah, I agree with you, gents. I have on some authority it will be around that mid-year as well. So can't say more than that, but I think, yeah. So keep your checkbooks open for that time of year if you want an affordable EV, which hopefully will be under 40 grand. I don't know what the price is, so we'll see. Yeah, Greg says March the 1st, back on the Tesla topic. March the 1st is, what's it called? Investor Day?
Investor Day,
yes?
correct.
Yeah, Investor Day. So, yeah, that's when I think we'll hear some announcements. And back on topic again, affordable EVs. Are we talking model, whatever it's called now, the smaller version? Are we going to hear something about that car, hopefully?
Possibly.
Don't know.
Yeah, I think Elon generally saves Investor Day for reveals of, I guess, new models or some new technology that Tesla has been working on. So I think Investor Day, more than earnings, is seen more of a sort of fan favorite in terms of getting information from Tesla and Elon about the future of the company. So yeah, definitely one to look out for.
Yep. Well, I haven't got my VIN yet for my Model Y Performance, and literally March the 1st is 2 weeks away, I think, almost to the day. So, yeah, I'm almost like thinking, maybe I don't want my VIN yet. We'll see what happens on March the 1st. What do you guys think if you've got a VIN at the moment for a Model YP or even just any car, Model 3, Model Y? You're going to wait? You're going to take delivery? You're going to hear what Elon has to say on the 1st of March? Interesting times, eh? And Paul's got a question. Thanks, Paul. $2. Have European EV makers given up on Australia? Yeah, where's the VW ID4? Where is it? Riz, where is it?
I'm not sure, because I think they're waiting for the big sort of stick from the federal government in their strategy, the national EV strategy, to talk about emission standards, and then they may do something. It's very similar to VW's attempt at Electrify America in the US. Big stick to make sure they roll out a charging infrastructure. And if we think our charging infrastructure is unreliable, over there they've got bigger issues. And it's, and now it seems that there is, even today, White House released some guidelines around what that may look like. And there's some reliability criteria there, which is once again another stick for Volkswagen to do something about fixing that charging infrastructure. And in Australia, there's just no real chance. I did ask the question at the Cupra launch around the VW ID3, because that's what the Cupra is based on. And they said, well, we'll miss out on the first generation of the ID3 that's currently there. And we're potentially thinking about bringing the next generation out, which, by the way, is 2024. I know it's next year. We won't see it till 2025, unless the federal government makes some changes.
Wow,
that's a long way away. So I put this slide back up again. It's sort of half-breaking news today that, yes, Tesla will be opening up a portion of its superchargers in the US. So at least 7,500 chargers available to all EVs by the end of 2024. I don't know how many chargers there are in the States, but 7,500 seems like a lot to me. So this will include at least 3,500 new and existing 250 kilowatt superchargers along highway corridors and cities to expand freedom of travel, blah, 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 for all EVs, etc. So as we all know, we've got 5 sites in New South Wales that are open to all EVs. Thank you for the people who've actually sent in videos and pictures of their non-Tesla EVs charging at these sites. So it's great to see that they're working. I've got videos from a owner with an EV6, Polestar 2s. On PlugShare, I've seen, I think, a BMW i3 charging in one, Mini Cooper. So yeah, it's good to see that they do work on non-Teslas do work on Tesla superchargers. Do we want to see an Aura Funky Cat charging at a Tesla supercharger? Maybe. I certainly would want to try. I think, look, Riz, Raul, this is the future, right? Tesla, obviously Tesla, there's some pressure there from the States, but to open their chargers to non-Tesla EVs, but I think ultimately that's going to happen. And I think, look, we're just one EV community. We want everyone to get to their destination safely, and the only way to do it is to really open up chargers to everyone, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think from what I can gather and my reading Twitter feeds, I believe that President Biden personally reached out to Elon Musk to ask for Tesla chargers to be opened up to other EV cars, and obviously he's agreed. And, additional revenue for Tesla, and then obviously they're going to double their network of superchargers by the end of 2024, which just means they're going to be dominating the field. And I think we talked about as well, hey, is this the end of Tesla's domination a couple of weeks ago? But when you look at the market share that they already have, and if they're going to be opening up their network to other EVs, imagine a Polestar or a Mini Electric or a VW ID or a Hyundai sitting at a Tesla charger charging. The amount of branding that brings to Tesla without having to spend any money on marketing whatsoever is enormous, I believe. The potential is just ridiculously amazing.
Yeah, that's right. It's free advertising every time you stop at a Tesla supercharger. Look, as you said, Ro, we're not really fighting each other with EVs at the moment. It's still a very small market share, at least in Australia. Like the enemy, so to speak, is still a non-EV. It's an ICE car. It's climate change. It's still a huge market, untapped potential for the market to grow. So, we're talking very small percentages now. So I think sharing of resources at this stage is still going to be a good for the market for sure. And Tassie EV says exclusivity in charging networks is not good. Petrol stations don't do it. So I agree. Yep. Question from P2N. When will Tesla open up more supercharger locations in Australia? Don't know. Tesla don't tell us these things. How long's a piece of string? I don't know what the testing cycle is for them, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, the trials in Europe were pretty quick. Like they tried a couple of countries, then they went over to a couple of sites there, and then before you knew it, quite a lot of sites were open. So, I guess we'll give them a couple of months. Tesla likes to work in quarters. So, maybe by April, May, June, second quarter, maybe there'll be a few more opening up in other states apart from New South Wales. So yeah, let's give it 3 months and see what happens.
3 months. Okay. So anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months, everyone. Ray. Hey, Ray. Nice to see you. One of our members. Sorry, Raul, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say quickly, is there a supercharger app, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, that you can look at, which gives you an idea of what Tesla superchargers are under construction, got a permit, being built, when they're going to be ready, how many stalls?
There is a supercharger index on Tesla Motor Club's forum that a few of our audience actively participate in and maintain that as well. So that currently exists. There's also a gentleman, I think he's Canadian or from the US, that sort of tracks superchargers all around the world, including permit applications. And he was the one, Marco RP, I think is his Twitter handle, and he was the one that pinpointed the Benalla one, which is supposed to be the biggest site that we spoke about briefly last week. So there's a couple of different unofficial ones, but a lot of those, they're doing their own investigative work. But Tesla Supercharger Maps seems to be okay. There's a couple of sites that have disappeared since late last year. They were supposed to open. One of them was in WA. So it's continuously updating, and Tesla openly says that on their future sites, when you click on the little dot on their map, that it's expected to change.
Yeah, I'm losing track. I'm glad we've got someone like Riz. I think you wrote an article today, Riz, on that too, on tracking superchargers in Australia. So thank you for that.
No worries.
The Driven. If you've just joined us, hello. We're just about just past the halfway mark on tonight's stream. We've got a poll running at the moment, 110 votes. I'm always very touched when I get a reasonably big sample size like this. So thank you for voting tonight. In February 2023, at what price point would you consider to be an affordable EV in Australia? These are in Australian dollars. The price categories are under 35,000, between 35 and 40,000, between 40 and 45,000, and between 45 and 50,000. And it looks like the 35 to 40,000 people have it at the moment. 41% of you are saying that is the key. That is the price point that will be affordable as an EV in Australia. So thank you for that. Interestingly, I would have thought maybe more of you would have voted under 35 at this stage because, look, to be fair, 35 grand is still quite an expensive car. If you look at it from a pure ICE point of view, I mean, a cheap ICE car is like 20 grand, right? Or around that $20,000 mark. So you're looking at like almost double for an affordable EV. And as I've said many times in the comments, price is still king at the moment, or monarch at the moment in Australia. So no matter where the country of origin is from, people are going to look at the price point of an EV before buying. There was a comment here. Oh, from Gaffer. Yes, great comment I saw from Gaffer. I saw an interesting thought today on Twitter. Why wouldn't Tesla maybe open its own version of Electrify America that could produce and roll out with their hardware tech, CCS network? Gaffer, you shouldn't have commented. You should have patented that idea. Seriously, that's a great idea. Yeah, it's like the generic version of superchargers, right? You go to the pharmacy, you don't buy Panadol, you buy Panamax. So instead of charging the supercharger, you charge it whatever brand, but still Tesla, right? What a great idea. Seriously. And that'll stop angst from Tesla owners, like from Michael's comment here. How does Tesla keep their own owners happy from the flood of other brand owners using what was once their exclusive use? Is it just pricing? Yeah, great idea. I think honestly, Michael, the pricing is going to keep a lot of non-Tesla EV owners off the supercharger network. I'm still hearing people going to NRMA network chargers, which are free still in New South Wales. It just boggles the mind why it's still free. But hey, if it's free, they're going to go there. If ChargeFox is still cheaper, if EV is still cheaper, they're going to go there. And then they're going to use the Tesla supercharger network as a fallback, which is great. I mean, I've seen broken chargers. I've seen non-Tesla EVs owners distressed. I've seen them trying to use a supercharger on the road trips I've done. So having a Tesla supercharger network as a fallback option is fantastic. I don't want to see anyone stranded on the highway. So I think this will be a great initiative coming from a Tesla owner anyway. Jens, thoughts on that? What do you we've touched on this last week, but we should reiterate for the audience who didn't watch last week.
Yeah, I think the EV adoption is what we all want, right? And if there's more charging options, and when people are considering whether they buy a petrol or diesel car, or they're happy to pay a little bit more for an electric car because it's new technology, when iPhones first launched, they were considerably more expensive in some cases than some of the other smartphones that were available at that time. And it's technology, and you pay a premium for certain products. And I think the message is pretty clear that the cost of ownership is lower, so you're happy to pay a little bit more. In terms of getting them to charge, that's one of the big issues that people have, and just charger anxiety, no longer range anxiety. And as all of the things you touched on, Tom, around distressed owners not being able to get a charge, having a poor experience. In the US, I'm seeing some extreme examples on some of the social media groups where people have purchased a particular car in a state, that doesn't have good enough charging infrastructure, and they're basically saying, I'm selling it, I'm going back to a nice car. And that's the scenario that you don't want here in Australia, where you'd rather have EV owners being able to use the Tesla supercharger as a fallback, rather than saying, no, stuff this is too much, I'm going to go back to my whatever Mazda CX-5 that I was driving before this.
Yep. Agree. Rahul, thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think we touched on it a couple of weeks ago. I'm more than happy for Tesla to open up their charging network to non-Tesla owners. Obviously, the pricing structure is different for them, and like you suggested, they could charge elsewhere where it would be cheaper. So wherever Tesla chargers will be located, I'm sure there would be non-Tesla chargers nearby somewhere as well, so they would have the option. But yes, the current status of some of the brands other than Tesla, of their charging infrastructure in Australia not being so great, yeah, definitely. If I'm on the road with my family, I don't want to be stranded. I don't want my kids distressed. I don't want my wife distressed about, hey, we didn't make to our destination, now we've got to get a tow truck, now we're going to try and find another car, all those sorts of scenarios. Yeah, at the end of the day, the common goal is to make sure that everyone has access to EVs, has access to charging infrastructure as well. So yeah, happy for everyone to be able to use the Tesla infrastructure, which somebody did mention before is rock solid, never fails.
Yeah, well said, Rahul. I mean, I'm a family guy too, and I don't want to see that happen to any family. Australia's a big country. We don't want, you don't want to be stuck on the side of the road. You could be hundreds of kilometers away from a town. It's not like in the States where there are towns spread out throughout the highways. You could be like Sunset and you don't have a charge. It's really quite scary, actually. So, yeah, let's keep everyone safe, hey, on the roads. So there was a comment here I was just quickly about. Yes, so RS3 Me. Would be nice if chargers got cover from elements. I got smashed by the rain while people fueling up undercover, loving life. Yeah, that's
Yes.
not so good. I agree, RS3 Me. We've shown pictures of charging stations from Europe and the US in the past. They look beautiful. They're solar paneled, covered charging stations. That's the kind of stuff we need to have here. Like I hate it sitting out in the sun, charging up. I can't see with the glare, or if it's pouring with rain, I've got to rock up there and try and get the stupid machine to work. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was also going to go a bit of a rant too. Sorry, Riz, quickly about
go for it.
About non-Tesla EV brands. I think they need to be more upfront with their customers about charging networks, because I mean, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I'm a bit of a walking advertisement for EVs. I don't even have to open my mouth and someone wants to talk to me about EVs at the workplace or at a family gathering. And a lot of people still don't know that non-Tesla EVs cannot charge at most of the Tesla supercharger network in Australia. So it's not common knowledge that a non-Tesla EV can only use non-Tesla chargers at this stage. So I don't know how upfront people are when they buy non-Tesla EVs at the dealership or whatever. I just think that needs to be carried across to the customer. I'm sure they probably won't, because they won't sell the car, but people need to be aware of that before they purchase any non-Tesla EV. Sorry, that's just my 2 cents. Sorry, Riz, go ahead, please.
No, all good. So that's also a very good point as well, in terms of the education that the customer gets at the point of sale, whether it's dealerships or some EV brands have experience centers. I've seen some really good examples of this stuff. Like Polestar does an amazing job. They go well and beyond. BYD is doing some great stuff out of their experience centers as well. Some of the traditional automakers need a little bit more help when it comes to training staff at the point of delivery to the customer, so the customer fully understands what needs to happen, where can they charge, what that looks like, where should they find out where the charging stations are. But this is where videos like yours, Tom, and doing all the road trips showcases what it's like in a Tesla versus what it's like in a non-Tesla. And then obviously now the non-Teslas can charge at certain Tesla chargers as well. All of those things are really helpful. how to use the apps for all these different charging networks, whether it's EV, ChargeFox, all of those things. Basically, the people selling these cars at the dealerships need to watch your videos, so then they understand, because the chances that they drive an EV and know the frustrations that some of the EV owners have are very, very slim. So it's ICE drivers selling EVs to people that are really enthusiastic about EVs, but then they don't get told enough, and then they have a bit of a drama while they own the EV and they don't know where to go, and that's why they come to your channel.
Thanks, Riz. Yeah, no, look, I don't want anyone to have a bad experience. I see it as a bit of, you need to be informed when you, as I said before, financial consent. You need to know what you're buying. And it's not the full story. I mean, charging experience is 50% of EV ownership at the moment, particularly on road trips. So people need to be aware of that, particularly if you're not buying a Tesla at this stage. Just a comment from P2N. Since NRMA part-own ChargeFox, shouldn't they just roll their fast chargers into the ChargeFox network? Now, I was recently at the NRMA Drive Day in Sydney, and I did pose this question to some of the bigwigs, so to speak. And of course, I got the usual coming soon reply. So I don't know. I mean, the coming soon from NRMA is almost as long as Elon's coming soon at this stage. So I want to see some progress as well. Let's get the app going. Let's start rolling it out with ChargeFox. I don't know, whatever it is. I think we need some direction moving forward. But look, apart from that, the NRMA are doing a great job promoting EVs, of course. The EV Drive Day was fantastic. Yeah, let's just make sure the NRMA network is rock solid too, moving forward. A good point there, P2N. Thank you. Electric Car Australia. Hello there. How does everyone think the MG5 EV wagon would sell in Australia? Sells well in the UK as a basic workhorse for taxis, Ubers, and those that need larger boot space without the glamour. Yeah, I think we've touched on this in the past. Wagons are, I mean, they're probably not as cool as they were back in the day, but SUVs seem to have taken that mantle. But I still like a good station wagon or an estate. What was the other term? Shooting brake for an EV, for a wagon, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. An MG5 shooting brake. Generally, that's only for Porsches and some very high-end, Audi RS6 $300,000 wagons. That's what the shooting brake's for. MG5's, I think it does quite well in the UK. Maybe they don't have as much of an affinity with youths and, where we can put stuff in the back. And I guess we don't have as much rain in some cases as they do. So wagon makes more sense. Vans make more sense over there. But I still think there's a market for it, but slowly over the last couple of years, a lot of the traditional automakers have basically stopped selling wagons in Australia.
It's sad because my first car was a wagon. I loved it. So they're so good. Like they probably fit as much as an SUV. I don't know. Never mind. Maybe they'll come back into fashion one day, like bell-bottom jeans. We'll see. Gaffer, great summary. I agree with you. My charging rant. Number 1, chargers need to be safe, 100%, well lit, etc. Number 2, disabled access and long load access. Yep, so drive-through chargers, I agree. 3, protection from elements, 100% as well, agreed. And number 4, 24/7 access. And number 5, tap and go. I love it. Love it, Gaffer. Well said. Thank you. Oh, Charles Gregory's here. Hey, Charles. Just got in time for the outro. No, you got 10 minutes. It's okay. Welcome. Marshall Edwards. I believe non-Tesla EV salespeople refer to a fast charger as a supercharger. Yes, good point. And the customer assumes a Tesla supercharger. Yes, that's another one of my pet peeve, actually. No, a supercharger is not a DC fast charger. One is the other one is not it. So yes, a supercharger is a DC charger, but a DC charger is not a supercharger. It's one of those riddles. So anyway, it's our job hopefully to
they call them like a ultra fast or an ultra rapid charger or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's no set nomenclature is there at the moment for them, but whatever it is. Yeah.
Tom, I just want to quickly mention something as well. I did go to the airport last week to pick up my in-laws who were coming from the UK to visit, and I quickly ducked into the Westfield ChargeFox chargers at Airport West. There's 3 350 kilowatt chargers there. 2 of them were broken, They do have a new feature on these chargers. I don't know whether anyone else has noticed it, but they basically have a light at the top. So if it's working, it's green. If it's broken or not working, it's red. And while you're charging, it actually turns into blue. Now, there was one 350 kilowatt charger that did have the green light, so I just pulled into it thinking, okay, I might get a quick 20-minute charge. However, I could only get a charge of about 2 kilowatts at about 8 amps. Obviously, that third one was also broken as well. So I guess, there are obviously a couple of other 50 kilowatt chargers close by as well. So I was able to get enough charge to get to the airport and then come back home and then recharge the next day. But pros and cons, I think manufacturers and other charging infrastructure providers are trying to do some good things. But again, reliability just remains a massive, massive issue in Australia currently.
Yep. I totally agree with you, Rahul. Having done a couple of big road trips like yourself, yeah, reliability is king at the moment. All right, well, let's wrap up tonight with just a few more slides I just want to show you all. So I'll just pop this up here for everyone to see. So this was sent in from viewer John B, and this is the Megalong Valley in New South Wales, which is in the Blue Mountains, just about 2 hours west of Sydney. And this is a nice looking AC charger in the Megalong Valley, enough for 2 ports. And there is John charging his Model 3 there, very nice. And I think there is a credit card reader as well. So perfect. That's just perfect. That's what you need. Credit card reader tap, charging, easy location. Look, it's covered as well. How good's that? Yep. Thanks, John, for sharing that. Yes, and also New South Wales. This was breaking this week. There's now a penalty, a fine actually, a maximum fine of $2,200 for an EV charging spot that is occupied by either an EV that's not charging or an ICE vehicle. So that's quite an expensive fine, in my opinion. I'm sure parking officers will use their discretion, but it's 20 penalty units, each unit being $110, so $2,200. So if you're in New South Wales, if you're driving an EV, make sure you're charging. If you're driving an ICE car, don't even think about it, because you could get a hefty fine. And I think other states, Queensland might have it too, I think, and Victoria. Is that right, guys? You got this fine? No?
Not sure, to be honest.
I'm not sure either. I will need to look this up. But look, I think this has been lacking, and I think this is going to be a great deterrent for people parking in EV charging spots.
Yep. And Ray's right. SydneyEV did do a video about this, so I will probably link that video in the description below as well. So good video. He explained it quite well. Thank you, Rob from SydneyEV. Okay, so next one is, we've been through that one. And this is Thailand's first supercharger in Central World Bangkok. 9 stalls. That's a beautiful looking Tesla site there. Very shiny. So good to see. Good to see. I think they're probably V2s as well. I think just looking at the plug, I believe. And because the wheel stop is there, non-Tesla EVs can't charge there just yet. Wheel stop is the key, everyone. Wheel stop is the key. Okay, and that's blank. And lastly there's Robert Llewellyn's standing next to the MG4. So that will be launched at Fully Charged Live. Love to take a look, of course, at that. I'm not sure they're doing test drives. It'll just be launched at that event. So that'll be good to see. Check out the quality too. I know it's got good reviews at the moment, but we'll see whether it's any different from the MG ZS EV in terms of its quality and trim and so on. I'm looking forward to that for sure. And if you haven't got your tickets yet, there's my code up there, LUDFCLAU10 for 10% off tickets for the event. All 3 of us will be there in some shape or form over the weekend. So come and say hello. We'll be walking around, doing interviews and checking stuff out. So yes, that'd be great. Yes, Ray brought up a good point. He suggests watching dash cams. A ute hit a Tesla supercharger in underground car park. Yes, I think I retweeted that too last week. It happened was it in Queensland? Yes, I think so. Indooroopilly car park, I think, in Brisbane. Yes, that's captured on dash cam. Yep. All right. All right, gents. Let's recap tonight's topic, which is 2023 affordable electric vehicles in Australia for around 50,000. The poll, 146 votes, of which 41% of you have voted $35,000 to $40,000 being the affordable bracket for EVs. So, yeah, and I think we all agreed on that too. We sort of discussed that as a group. That would be our choice for that poll too. Yeah, cool. All right. Last chance to make comments, guys. Leave that in the comment section below. Rahul, final thoughts?
Yeah, just had one little bit of news that I wanted to share with the audience. From a past show, we obviously hosted Dennis Savage last year, and I do follow Savage Motorcycles on Twitter. They did put out a tweet earlier this week to say that ADR approval and the first ever Savage Motorcycles C-Series road registered in Australia. So congrats to Savage Motorcycles.
Thanks, Rahul. Congratulations, Dennis and the team. That's great work. Good to see Aussie manufacturing coming to the fore. Great stuff. Riz, final thoughts?
Just on affordable EVs, I think it's 2023 is going to be a good year. We've got the BYD Dolphin, we have the MG4, we've just had the Aura Funky Cat, and it would be good to see at least one or two more, whether it's from some of the brands we've mentioned or others, enter the market. I think there was a question around what happened to Renault and Zoe. So if we get, maybe there's a, bringing the Zoe back sort of a campaign, because anything that's affordable under sort of, 50 grand should do well. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a very exciting year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be a good year. I can just feel it, right? Affordable EVs, more options, more charges. Bring it on. Now, Greg's just reminded me actually of before we go, a tweet. I think Vita Prime was very discreetly trying to tell us something's going to break tomorrow with regards to Tesla. We don't know what it is. I'll just put Greg's comment here. Can we expect long range Y tomorrow? Yeah, I mean, hey, I'd love to see that break in Australia or drop in Australia. I don't know. Did you guys see the tweet from Vita that he's gonna tweet something tomorrow special?
Yeah,
I did see that.
Yeah,
I didn't understand or appreciate whether it was Australia specific or whether it was from a global perspective that he was talking about that. To be seen, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to speculate what it might be, Roll? Just stab in the dark again?
Absolutely zero idea. You never know with Elon. Could be selling
Riz,
Twitter again and then restarting another social media. I've got no idea.
And he's told Vita specifically. He's got a plumb line from Elon.
Usually it's Nash.
Yeah, that's right. Nash had no idea either. What's going on? Riz, I mean, you got the running shoes on. Surely you could have got something today.
Look, I tried to look very hard, and I think I have a feeling it's something to do with the Model 3. But I may be wrong. Model Y long range does sound promising too, but performance, order holders have been waiting a long time for their vehicles, the VINs and everything else as well. They were supposed to be November to January. We're into February now. So until we get some of those out of the way, I don't think it will be something on the Model Y long range, but I guess I'm probably proven wrong tomorrow. But apparently there's a follow-up tweet for tomorrow morning that may or may not come out. I'm not sure. Otherwise, 10 o'clock, between 10 and 11 on a Friday, Tesla makes changes to their configurators. So I've already got a reminder in my calendar. That's where I'm going to see what pops up.
Yeah, I think the Y dropped around that time, didn't it? Around 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, a lot of 10:30 orders.
10, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Gaffer says Vita is Elon's illegitimate love child. He's the international man of mystery, Vita Prime. Yeah, he's really something. Very special man.
I think he's got 7 legitimate children. So, if this is the only one that we know about, how many other illegitimate children does Elon have then?
That's funny. Charles says an Aussie Model X order holder said he and another have both been contacted for further order details this week. Wow. Model X and S coming back, maybe. Aaron says bringing sexy, or S and X back, so Australia is sexy again. That's right. Yeah, Greg's saying it's got to be something to do with VINs and shipping. That's what Vita Prime specializes in. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see indeed. Nash is his legitimate one. Thanks, Gaffer.
Yes.
Oh, it's too good. Yeah, so everyone look at your Twitter accounts tomorrow. I think mid-morning, maybe even early, maybe early morning. Vita's going to drop some bombshell, so to speak, on Twitter. I'm looking forward to it. Something Australian related, something Tesla related, something Vita related. So yeah, check your feeds tomorrow morning. Wake up to something good, hopefully.
Or look up in the sky. You might see a balloon with Tesla on it. Around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, just don't shoot it down. I'm sure it's something legitimate. This is not the US. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Thanks again, Riz, for your time, and thank you, Raoul, for your time as well for tonight.
Most welcome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, gents. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for commenting, and I'll just close the poll now, and then we'll just go through final results, and then we'll say goodbye. Here we go. Tonight's poll: 40% of you said $35,000 to $40,000. Is an affordable price range, followed by 27% of you saying under 35,000, and then 17% of you saying 40 to 45,000, and then finally 13% of you are saying $45,000 to $50,000. 152 votes. Thank you, everyone. All right, everyone, take care, and I shall see you all at the next Ludicrous Feed live. All right, ciao. See you later. Happy charging.